principal here at CK McClatchy High School, and it's our pleasure to welcome you this evening to our City Council debates. And before we get started, I'd just like to give a few thank yous. We have some students that are here with us tonight that are doing all of our audio visual, and our visual and performing arts teacher, Ms. Molly Morrison. So if we can give a hand to the students. Thank you for coming out this evening and for being here at McClatchy High School and participating in this electoral process. It's very important that we're all involved in participating. Seeing these students out in the crowd as well. And so I'd just like to say thank you for setting the example for the students that are here and for participating this evening. And again, welcome to CK McClatchy High School, and it's my pleasure to introduce to you Mitch Rohr.
Just a few words about the Land Park Community Association. Our goal is to preserve and protect William Land Park, raise community awareness, work with elected officials and city staff on behalf of the community and the city at large, host events to bring the community together, such as tonight, and of course we are welcoming new members. I'd like to have a special thanks to Principal Lambert for help bringing us together tonight and providing this wonderful facility. Again, the VAPA. Channel 13, CBS. We'd also like to thank Rayleigh's for all the fine food that they provided us over the years. Continue to be a wonderful partner in our neighborhood, and we're looking forward to their new facility. And last but not least, the Land Park Community Association Board and the committee that put this event on tonight. We're a volunteer organization. We're all very passionate about our community and our city. And without the tireless work of all of the folks, especially our Vice President, Joseph Zeta, we would not be here tonight. So I thank you, Joe, and everyone, Chris, and all who put this on, and Paul and Art. And then I'd like to remind you to silence your phones. And we'll go ahead and introduce Steve Larch. He's going to be our moderator this evening. Steve is an anchor and reporter at CBS Channel 13. He's been with the station for 13 years and has reported on coverage of citywide issues during that time, including extensive coverage of downtown development and the homeless crisis. And last, we're going to make a contribution of $150 tonight to the VAPA organization to help further their programming. With that, let the games begin.
Yeah, I'm a crisis.
All right, thank you, Mitch. I just got my ballot in the mail today. I'm sure a lot of you guys did as well, so it's top of mind for all of us. Election coming up faster than any of us anticipated, I think, right? Great turnout here, great auditorium. I'm going to set some rules here and let you guys know what they are before we get started. First off, thanks to the Land Park Community Association for sponsoring this event. Thank you to McClatchy High for offering this venue. You guys know Steve Hansen, City Councilmember, District 4, for years. Katie Valenzuela, the challenger. Environmental Justice Alliance. So here's some rules, then we're going to get started. First, each candidate will get 3 minutes to make an opening statement. We have a series of questions drawn up by the Land Park Community Association. Candidates will have a minute and a half to respond to each of these questions, and then a minute if they choose a rebuttal. The League of Women Voters has volunteered their time to time this all out for us. We appreciate that. And we'll end this with a 2-minute statement from each candidate as well. So I know that you guys, there's a lot of support for each candidate here. I want to remind everybody we want to be on our best behavior. We also want to limit that show of support until the very end so we can get through quite a number of questions, frankly. So please be respectful. As Mitch already mentioned, please silence your cell phones if you haven't already done that. We did flip a coin or a key just moments ago to determine who would go go first. And so with the opening statements, Steve goes first.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, all of you, for being here tonight. First, let's say go Lions. Can we give a shout out to the Lions, the McClatchy Lions?
That's as good as...
There has been so much happening in our city, but especially in District 4. We've gone through and are still going through this metamorphosis as a city. When I was first running, we were in the midst of the recession, and we were losing jobs, we were losing businesses, we were losing a lot of young people who were going to other places because they didn't see themselves in the city. Over the past 7 years, it has been one of my greatest honors to serve on the city council. It has indeed been one of the greatest challenges too, as we've worked through not only climbing out of the recession, rebuilding our city's departments after layoffs and closures of fire stations and park workers, but also as we're trying to get ahead of some of the true liabilities that we face. Sacramento is a city that has continued to be attractive to people from out of town, but it's also a city that has a lot of challenges still, not only in homelessness and housing. We're leading on those things for cities of our size, but we have to confront them even more strongly. In the last 7 years, we've invested so much into the arts, into transportation. Just this last year, we invested in free public transit for our youth. And we've seen a 100% increase from last January to this January in youth ridership. We've issued arts grants, focused on equity. We have done things like the Sophia and the Clara and the Verge Center for the Arts. The Powerhouse Science Center is underway. Those are all things that I've been able to champion. But small things too, like bike lanes, Freeport Boulevard here. We added not only new art in Plaza Cervantes, but we made the streets safer for the students coming to school because that was what they wanted. Everything in the city that is of consequence almost always runs through District 4. This is the busiest district. We have 100,000 people that come into work every day. We have visitors. We have so many different things going on that make it special and unique, but also make it very difficult. I work hard every day. I think a lot of you know that we do our best. I've got an amazing team. And it's my commitment to you that we're going to work harder. We're going to keep doing as much as we can to stay ahead of these challenges, to stay ahead of our opportunities. But I believe that our work is not done. I want you to help me continue to make Sacramento a place that works together, that believes in each other, a city of neighborhoods where we are neighborly. In this national conversation where everybody begins to doubt each other, not trust each other, we have to stick together. And I want to continue that work on your behalf. So thank you. I look forward to the debate. Thank you for being here tonight. And I just want to give a special shout out to my family, my son Henry, who's not here, my partner. Henry got put to bed tonight. I got to say goodnight. But we decided it was best to leave him at home. So thank you.
Good evening. My name is Katie Valenzuela, and I can't really talk about myself without talking about my dad. He was a two-term Vietnam veteran who earned a Purple Heart, and when I was 13 years old, told me that we don't get to complain about problems unless we're willing to do something to try to fix them. That's what led me to go to UC Davis and get a bachelor's and master's degree in community development, which eventually led me to move to Sacramento in 2009 and do what my dad told me and throw myself into my new home to make things better. Since I've been here, gosh, we've done a lot. Over the last 11 years, I've helped start neighborhood associations. I've helped community groups navigate the city process and the state process to try to make change. We've convened coalitions that are trying to tackle tough problems like environmental justice and food justice. I've helped, most recently, just finished a multi-year process to start the Sacramento Community Land Trust, which is at the cutting edge of strategies we can deploy to preserve affordable housing with minimal public subsidy. So I'm not asking you to believe that I care about doing community work. I'm showing you that through all that I've done over the last 11 years. I love doing this work. So a little over a year ago, when I realized that our councilmember, Steve Hansen, just seemed more interested in different priorities than what we needed in our community. He was more interested in stadiums and flashy projects and in sidewalks and in bike lanes and in basic safety improvements on our streets and affordable housing and the homeless. I did what my dad taught me to do, and I decided to do something about it. I decided to run. But I didn't just decide to run for myself. I knew I couldn't do it by myself. I decided to run a campaign that's different than any campaign we've really seen in the Sacramento region. I'm proud today to say that as of tonight, we have over 400 individual donors, mostly from within this district. We've had over 100 people come out with us and do phone banking and canvassing and postcard writing, many of them who've never been involved in political campaigns before. Because the fact is, who you vote for, we're just one person. This is about inspiring all of us to work together and giving everybody the skills and the empowerment so that we can work together to do the things that we need to do to make Sacramento a better place. So I'm really excited to be here tonight. I'm excited to answer your questions, and I'm thrilled at the turnout on a Wednesday night. So thank you for being here.
At the center of really the city, homelessness, the homelessness crisis. Recent polling indicates that for the first time in the state's history, homelessness now ranks as the most important issue for California voters. Sacramento will be building a 100-bed homeless shelter on a state-owned lot under the WX Freeway near Alhambra Boulevard. This site is located just outside of District 4, but sits alongside several residential neighborhoods. The question, do you believe that this is an appropriate place for a shelter? Would you favor locating new homeless shelters in more sparsely populated areas away from parks, schools, and local businesses? If not, why not? Steve.
Thank you, Steve. We have a crisis on our streets. We have a crisis of affordability. And I stepped up right when I got elected because that was what the public demanded. And we created the first position in the city responsible for coordinating the city's approach to homelessness. Now that program has grown. We now have a federal grant for $60+ million called Whole Person Care. We're working with Sacramento Steps Forward, with the county, but we do need services, and we need shelter in particular, especially because shelter is a key step in stabilization. Now, there are a lot of people who don't want homeless shelters. We've seen debates, we've seen arguments. This particular shelter is in District 5, and Councilmember Chenier is a proud champion of this shelter. But I'll tell you, if nobody wants a shelter, nobody will be sheltered. District 4 has stepped up. We opened Capitol Park Hotel. As of last Friday, we had 116 people inside. We had over 279 guests so far. Many people navigated into services, into housing, and to other options. But we need to do more, and that's why I wrote an op-ed in the paper last weekend, focusing on ideas like expanding the Mather Community Campus. Many people have asked about a haven for hope. This is an opportunity to scale up an option like that here that can provide intensive mental health services, intensive drug addiction services, and to really do more. That's not just on the city, that's on our county and our state, and we are leveraging resources to make a real difference.
To you, Katie, again, we'll just lay it out for you here. Your opinion on whether or not this state-owned lot on the WX Freeway is an appropriate place for a homeless shelter, and do you favor these homeless shelters going up in sparsely populated areas or in areas where there are populated communities?
Thank you for asking that question. I think the idea that I have floated to a lot of you that people seem excited about is using Arco Arena. And the reason that I talk about Arco Arena is not just because it's more isolated, but because it's big enough for us to layer the type of services and programming that we need. It has locker rooms, it has bathrooms, it has showers, and frankly, we help pay for it, and it's just sitting out there empty, so it should be used for something that's more productive. So in 2015, in 2012 actually, we knew that 10% of the new housing we need to build is for extremely low-income people. And the reason I'm talking about housing in the context of homeless is the people that are on the streets right now, the way they get off the streets through SSI and disability, by accessing services, they are extremely low income. You can't really get above that threshold. So if we don't have housing for those folks at that income level, services for those folks, they're just going to rotate in and out of shelters, and we're going to pay a lot of money to move people around. And what Sacramento hasn't done in the last 8 years is build more than 2 units that are extremely low income. We've literally built 2 units out of the thousands of units we have built. And so that is the problem we have to tackle. We can talk more about that because I'm getting the cue for time. But I think really we need a strategy that is more than just sheltering. Sheltering is just a piece of that puzzle, and what we're missing in Sacramento is the commitment to the final product at the end of the road.
Can I respond to that?
Absolutely. Yeah. 1 minute.
There's no doubt we need more housing. With the state elimination of the redevelopment program, we lost our affordable housing increment. only because the voters passed Measure U in 2018. Now, just last week at City Council, we were able to pass the structure of an affordable housing bond to leverage state and other monies to build those units. We built about 500 units of affordable housing over the last 5-ish years. That's not enough, but it's because it costs so much to subsidize our way out of this problem. In Sacramento County last year, we housed about 2,000 people experiencing homelessness countywide. We are housing them. We're working through innovative programs like VOA, through leasing of buildings through a master lease program to get these folks housed, but we need the wraparound services. And it is very difficult for many people to move directly from the streets into housing, and these triage shelters have proven effective in San Diego. They're working in San Diego because they bring mental health clinicians, they bring public health workers, they bring all the services people need to get their needs met to become healthier.
Yeah, quickly, yeah.
So Sacramento had an affordable housing trust fund. In 2015, there was a requirement on the books that developers either had to build the units or they had to pay into a fund so we could build it for them. And in 2015, when they changed that requirement to a developer fee, the city council told us that that fee would generate over $100 million for affordable housing. So the real question is, where is that money? What happened with that? If we did not build affordable housing units that are for the extremely low income, which we won't build to, that is the housing that we know we need. So we've had an affordable housing trust fund. We're not going to buy our way out of this. This is actually something I confront in environmental justice a lot. Do you just tell the refinery to reduce emissions, or do you pay them a bunch of money to try to incentivize them to reduce emissions? There's never going to be enough public money to solve this problem. We need to reinstate requirements for developers to mitigate the impact of their development and build the type of housing that we need.
The issue is, if you add more costs, no housing will get built.
Okay,
Our costs are set by the Bay Area, and it is extremely expensive to build in our market for that reason.
We will have an opportunity to hit this again, trust me. Okay. This is a question that came from Brittany V, who lives in Land Park. Okay, she wrote into the Land Park Community Association ahead of this forum. Brittany is a parent whose husband coaches at the Land Park Little League field, and he has to check the grounds for needles